Hello everybody! So today we're going to have a look at some split primary palettes. So I got these last year actually during the Black Friday sale at Jackson's, and this is a Schmincke palette in collaboration with Jackson's, and they have a split primary set in here as well as some other neutrals and earth tones. And then this one is a split primary set from Daniel Smith. So these are all the colors that are in the Schmincke set. What we're going to look at today is mostly these 6 colors here. These are your warm and cool yellow, red, and blue. But I just wanted to show you all the colors that are in here in case you're interested in this palette. They really have some beautiful earth tones in here and a couple of greens, one leaning more cool and the other leaning more warm. The yellow ochre is always great for mixing, as well as the Venetian red. And then we have our sepia and ivory black. So it is a really nice little palette, but I just wanted to show you the whole thing so that you could see if you're interested in getting it. And yeah, so let's take a look at the split primaries from both. So here are the 2 split primary sets swatched out, and as you can see I labeled them warm and cool. So we have our warm yellows here. So in the Schmincke set it is pure yellow, and in the Daniel Smith set it is new Gamboge. So I kind of like this a little more, although if you're kind of starting out, color mixing might be a little more difficult with this new Gamboge because it's a little more opaque, whereas this pure yellow is more transparent, so it works better with this set here. But there is a bigger difference between these two, the cool and the warm here, than in the Schmincke set. The warm reds we have here are Vermilion Light for Schmincke, and then we have the Pyrrol Scarlet for Daniel Smith. And I feel as though the Pyrrol Scarlet is a little more saturated and a little richer. The Vermilion Light is quite light here, but it still works great as a mixing color. Then we have a big difference actually in the cool reds here. So for the Schmincke one we have a Quin Magenta, so that's really leaning into the more cool purple blue side of the cool reds here. And then this one is the Quinacridone Rose. So I'll show you a color chart in a little minute, just at the mixes, but getting a more pink leaning than a purple leaning might be a little more useful. You just have a little bit more in that pink spectrum, so it's sort of, you get different mixes of violets and purples with that. But this is also a really beautiful color and mixes just as well to make some great violets and purples. In the blue here we have the Ultramarine Finest for the warm in the Schmincke, and then we have French Ultramarine for Daniel Smith. This one's quite granulating, so some people don't love that and may just want to get the ultramarine version, but I think it's absolutely gorgeous and it's so vibrant in this Daniel Smith one. And for the cool blues we have Helios Aureolin for the Schmincke, and we have the Phthalo Blue Green shade for Daniel Smith. So these are very similar cool blues here. So if you're wondering how to figure out what's warm and cool, it is kind of confusing, but the way to think of it, let me grab the color wheel. So these are the color wheels I did with the split primaries here. So normally in a normal color wheel you just have your red, your yellow, red, and blue. What we've done here is split it into the warm side and a cool side. So when you're going around, you want to make sure that to make good oranges, you're going to mix a warm and a warm. So this example here. So this is a warm yellow and a warm red, and you get this nice vibrant orange. If you were to mix a cool yellow and a cool red, you're going to get this muddy color. Now, I think these are delicious. I really like this color, but if we're talking just about color theory, to get the purest mix of an orange, you want to go with the 2 warms because orange is a warm color. If you mix 2 cools together, you're not going to get what you think of as orange. It's going to be more muddied and less vibrant. The same goes for your greens. So green is a cool color, so you're going to mix your two cools together to get a vibrant green. So in this example here, you can see a warm yellow and a warm blue mixed together makes this gorgeous forest green, a little bit muddy and murky. But then if you mix a cool yellow and a cool blue, two cool colors to make a cool color, which is green, you're going to get this gorgeous vibrant green. So where it gets a little bit confusing is kind of when you get into the purples. So to get a nice clean purple, you want to mix a cool red and a cool blue. Now the exception to this sort of cool and warm thing is that you can actually get a pretty good purple and violet by mixing a warm blue and a cool red as well as the other way around, and they turn out not to be too muddy. What you can't do is mix well, you can do it, you can break any rule you want, but if you want, you know, the truest, cleanest sort of purples, you really don't want to be doing the warm red and warm blue. I mean, this is a yummy color, but it's not really what you would think of as a sort of clean purple. So that's kind of, you don't want to be doing the warm red and the warm blue for purples, but you can mix a warm and a cool to get those shades. So hopefully that kind of explains a little bit more about warm and cool colors. Another little thing I did was just this silly little drawing here. And what this is it helps you kind of remember, don't worry about the split primaries for now, but just thinking of warm and cool colors if you can't really get your head around that. What I do to remember is like the sun is warm, and you can put this at the top because it's above you, it's like up in the sky. So we can say, okay, put yellow at the top and that is a warm color, and then we can go around the clock and we're going to hit the red, which you can think of as fire, and fire is hot, so you can think of that as a warm, and then anything in between here is going to be warm. So we've got our yellow oranges and our orange reds, they all fit in here and they're going to be warm. Once we go down here, we're heading towards the cool. And you can think of cool as like water or rain, and it's a cold day, it's a cool color. So your colors, your violets and purples that go this way are all going to be cool. This is considered, the mix of these two is considered a cool color. So then all of these other colors between here and between the purple and blue are going to be cool. And then of course, as we're going towards the yellow, all this territory here is cool. So we have our green yellows here, and we have our, you know, tealish blues here. This is all going to be cool colors. So if you have another layer of complexity once you get into these split primaries here, but with this in mind, you know, you can see this warm yellow is heading towards red, so this is our warm yellow. This cool yellow is splitting off and going towards the blue, so we can think of this as a cool blue. It has more green in it. This one has more orange in it. So it seems really complicated, and when the colors are standing by themselves, sometimes it's hard to tell, but this is an easy way to kind of visualize it and think about it. So these are just the two sets that I own that contain a split primary. There are a bunch of different ones out there, different curated sets by different brands. Daniel Smith and Schmincke are kind of expensive, so you know, use this knowledge to create your own. You probably already have these colors in your collection. Like I have a ton of Roman Schmall colors, and I probably have a cool and a warm of each of those. And in the description, I'll put some different alternatives to the ones here. So for example, you know, the cool yellows in these two are the lemon yellow and the Hansa yellow light, but you could also use cadmium yellow light or nickel azo yellow. And like for the warm yellows, you could use cadmium yellow deep or Hansa yellow deep instead of the new Gamboge or pure yellow. You could even use Indian yellow or Quin gold for those. So instead of these warm reds here, you could use something like cadmium red light or Naphthol red or Anthraquinoid Scarlet. For these cool reds, you could use permanent rose or permanent carmine or Anthraquinoid red. A lot of people like to use alizarin crimson, but that is actually like a fugitive color, which means it fades. So you could use something like Pyrrol crimson instead. For the warm blues here, you could use indanthrone blue or cobalt blue instead of the ultramarine. And for the cool blues, you could use something like Prussian blue or manganese. Yeah, so we have the phthalo and the cerulean. Yeah, so there's definitely some different combos, and you might want to experiment and see what cool and warm colors you like to mix. But yeah, I hope this was kind of helpful and just gave you a brief overview of what primary colors are, and split primaries in particular, and how you can use them, especially in watercolor, to your advantage to create nice crisp mixes, and also get rid of that confusion as to why, you know, you're mixing, but why is it making this really muddy green? Now you kind of know that you got to mix the two cools together, or the two warms for the orange. So hopefully that knowledge helps you do better mixes that are more helpful in the future. So feel free to click the like button, the thumbs up for this video if you think it was helpful, and then it'll get sent out to other people and hopefully it's helpful to them. And thanks for watching, guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye.